So a lot of movement today in Group 1 at the T20 World Cup. South Africa won a very close encounter with Sri Lanka by 4 wickets, and then also Australia were absolutely pounded by England by 8 wickets. And I'm going to talk about both of those games and the impact that has on Group 1, in addition to a little bit of preview of India versus New Zealand and Afghanistan versus Namibia on this volume of CRIQAZI Diaries.
Have a look at that, miles up, oh, it's nearly taken someone out of the stands. That was a flat 6 right under the stand there, the George Giffen stand, happy for the members, and it went like a rocket. Well, we get 24.
Now, if you're wondering what's up with the handlebars, I'd like to inform you that I'm dressed up as Sarfaraz Nawaz for Halloween. So there's that. आ जाते हैं South Africa versus Sri Lanka पे. South Africa won the toss. They elected to field, which has been the template for success for a lot of teams in this T20 World Cup. And when Sri Lanka came out to bat, they were extremely positive, aggressive, or even though they lost Kusal Perera early, both of Pathum Nissanka and Charith Asalanka, they built a steady partnership. और जो दोनों pair है ना ये, they've been earmarked by Mickey Arthur to be the future of Sri Lankan cricket as far as batting is concerned, and they're definitely repaying his faith क्योंकि दोनों की बहुत अच्छी performances रही हैं इस T20 World Cup में. आज Asalanka out हो गए 21 पे, and that in fact was the turning point of that batting innings. उस run out के बाद डाउनहिल ही गई है श्रीलंका की पूरी बैटिंग इनिंग्स. एंड पाथुम निसांका का अगर 72 और 58 ना मारते तो ये करीब भी ना पहुंचते 142 के. एंड ऑफ कोर्स दे डिड एंड विद दैट स्कोर इन 20 ओवर्स. ऑल आउट हो गए एग्जैक्टली 20 ओवर्स में. और जहां तक साउथ अफ्रीका की बॉलिंग की बात है, देन तब्रेज़ शम्सी, द नंबर 1 bowler in T20 internationals, he finally arrived at the T20 World Cup. The left arm Chinaman took 3 wickets for 17 runs in his 4 overs. और अगर शम्सी फायर कर जाए ना, साउथ अफ्रीका बहुत डेंजरस टीम बन जाती है, एंड दे कैन बीट एनीवन. He was supported well by Dwayne Pretorius, जिनने 3 ओवर कराए. उनने फिर से 3 विकेटें ले ली. He took 3 wickets versus Australia earlier, and then now he's taken 3 wickets again versus Sri Lanka. 17 रन दिए 3 ओवरों में. And then of course, how can I not talk about Anrich Nokia, the South African speedster. Joint fastest delivery इनकी है इस T20 World Cup में, 153 kilometers per hour. He is leveled by Haris Rauf, of course, Pakistan's Haris Rauf, who's been so impressive. And Nokia, once again, he was accurate, he was quick, he took 2 wickets, he gave away only 27 runs. और काफी complete bowling performance दिखी South Africa की तरफ से, and they were able to roll over Sri Lanka, bowl them out for 142 in 20 overs. That said, the game was at a nice edge when South Africa came to bat. Dushmantha Chameera took 2 quick wickets, और वहीं पे South Africa की chase जो थी थोड़ी jeopardize हो गई. But then Temba Bavuma and Aiden Markram, they built a partnership. Bavuma played a very nice knock of 46. Anchoring innings थी उनकी, captain's knock था, उन्हें संभाल कर रखा. मगर फिर Wanindu Hasaranga, he took a hat-trick later on. And how many times have I mentioned Wanindu Hasaranga's name on CRIQAZI Diaries? He is a world-class leg spinner. Googly इनकी पकड़ी नहीं जाती, batting भी कर सकते हैं. MVP हैं श्रीलंका के, best player हैं ये. And he showed that today. He brought them back into the game, got that hat-trick. और बवूमा और मार्करम दोनों को निकाल दिया. और एकदम से साउथ अफ्रीका required 36 runs and 15 deliveries, and it seemed like Sri Lanka would run away with the game, pull off a major heist. But to Sri Lanka's misfortune, David Miller, Killer Miller जिस तरह कहते हैं उनको, he was at the crease. और आखिरी ओवर में 15 रन चाहिए थे साउथ अफ्रीका को. और लहिरू कुमारा was bowling. He had an off day once again today. और मिलर ने 2 छक्के मार दिए. साउथ अफ्रीका को वो घर ले गए, और अब साउथ अफ्रीका all of a sudden look like semi-final contenders. It's going to be a long shot, but they have a better run rate than Australia, और इस वक्त तो वो second पे ही हैं. तो क्या पता वो पहुंच जाएं. You know, there's been a lot of drama in South African cricket. Even back home, you know, the board is having hearings with former players, and काफी racism के elements निकल रहे हैं वहाँ पे. And then of course Quinton de Kock refused to take the knee. फिर उनकी meeting हुई और अब he has agreed to take the knee. And he played today's game, so I hope that issue is resolved. And if Quinton de Kock is playing for South Africa, then they're definitely a very, very sturdy opposition. और ये कुछ भी कर सकते हैं. तो even though pre-tournament I thought they might not be proper contenders, given the situation right now, I think South Africa have an equal chance with Australia to make it to the semi-finals. As for Sri Lanka, things have started to look quite bleak all of a sudden. वैसे मुझे लग रहा था कि अच्छा करेंगे क्योंकि मुझे काफी well-rounded bowling attack इनका लग रहा था. मगर एकदम से, you know, 3 games down in the Super 12 stage, they've lost 2 and they've won only 1. और West Indies और England इनकी रहती हैं teams which are fairly difficult opposition to face, especially when you have the pressure on. तो मुझे लग नहीं रहा श्रीलंका शायद यहाँ से recover कर पाए, but you never know. I still think it's an extremely talented team. team, and maybe their time is not now, but they will come good in international cricket. I am very, very positive about that. Let's go to England, Australia now. Big game. It was a battle for the top of the table of Group 1. Or England, they of course won the toss, and as every other team pretty much, apart from Afghanistan, they chose to field first. और आते सार बहुत ही एक surprise tactic खेल ली Owen Morgan ने. You know, he was going with Moeen Ali in the power play all tournament, and all of a sudden today Adil Rashid opened the innings, and I think it was a really good move क्योंकि pressure build हो गया, and all of a sudden Australia lost a lot of wickets. Chris Woakes, he's been amazing this tournament. I would say Shaheen Shah Afridi के बाद अगर मुझे कोई एक ऐसा new ball bowler नजर आया इस tournament में who's really caused opposition teams a lot of trouble, that is Chris Woakes. और आज भी वो शानदार थे. ऊपर से उन्होंने 2 wickets निकाली, David Warner को निकाला, Glenn Maxwell को निकाला, and then he took a fantastic catch off the bowling of Chris Jordan to dismiss Steve Smith. तो Woakes अकेला ही लड़ गया ऑस्ट्रेलिया को पावर प्ले में, and Australia found themselves at 21 for 4. तो एक तरह से देखें, England never really lost control of this game. They really grabbed it by the scruff of the neck. आते सारी उन्होंने गेम को अपनी तरफ कर लिया. They never really let Australia get back into the game, और थोड़ी फाइट की ऑस्ट्रेलिया ने. हल्का सा स्कोर बनाया वेड और फिंच ने, फिर वो भी पार्टनरशिप ब्रेक हो गई. लियम लिविंगस्टन, he got rid of Wade, और लिविंगस्टन बहुत ही एक pivotal 6th bowling option prove हो रहे हैं इस टूर्नामेंट के अंदर. मोइन अली didn't even bowl today, mind you, and he bowled 4 overs, 1 विकेट ली, 15 रन दिए, और इनकी पार्ट टाइम लेग स्पिन जो है ना, this is a real edge that England have over here. और अगर आप कंप्लीटनेस देखें सारे बॉलिंग अटैक्स की, तो मुझे इंग्लैंड और पाकिस्तान ही वैसे अटैक्स लगते हैं जिनके अंदर काफी ज्यादा ऑप्शंस हैं, एंड 6th bowling option is also very, very sturdy. So Australia were 51 for 5. Then Aaron Finch, he battled hard with Ashton Agar. Finch कैप्टन थे और उन्होंने कोशिश बहुत की, और तो कोई बैट्समैन चला ही नहीं ना ऑस्ट्रेलिया के लिए. Finch ने 44 runs किए, and then Chris Jordan and Timil Mills, they cleaned up the tail. They took 4 more wickets. Australia really couldn't get the foot on the gas. वो किसी भी point पे लगा ही नहीं कि वो कोई अच्छा स्कोर कर सकेंगे इस innings में. And they eventually stumbled to 125 all out in exactly 20 overs. England came out to bat and they completely steamrolled Australia. मतलब छक्कों पे छक्के पड़ रहे हैं. Joss Butler played pretty much the best innings of this T20 World Cup. He scored 71 of 32 deliveries, and he took a particular liking to Stark and Zampa. और funny चीज ये कि Stark and Zampa were looking to be Australia's most threatening bowlers if we look at all of the games that have passed by. तो उन्हीं को उन्हें अटैक कर दिया, and if I was a fielder fielding it long on while Joss Butler was batting, I would be scared. He's really sent out a statement to all other teams, and England most definitely, I think, पाकिस्तान के साथ साथ यही एक ऐसी टीम लग रहे हैं जो कि बहुत ज्यादा स्ट्रॉन्ग बाकियों से लग रही है टीम. Joss Butler is of course a very, very fine wicket keeper and one of the most explosive batsmen in white ball cricket. He showed that today कि conditions जो भी हों वो इस तरह का नॉक खेल सकते हैं. And just think about it, right? 71 of 32 deliveries, a little over 5 overs, और आपने 70 रन चढ़ा दिए हैं. That alone wins you games. नींद नहीं आनी आज रात को स्टार्क और ज़ैम्पा को, इतनी ज्यादा धुलाई की है उन्होंने, and honestly it was a wake up call for Australia because they looked decent in the games that have gone by. मगर एकदम से, you know, when they were pitted against one of the best teams in the world, they had absolutely no answers. England ने 11.4 overs में ही chase कर लिया उनका target with 8 wickets to spare, and I think it's quite safe to say कि England will finish top of Group 1 unless there's some upset over here, of course. And since Australia have incurred such a heavy loss, I'm quite positive now that net run rate is going to come into play with respect to Group 1, क्योंकि England मुझे लगता है first finish कर देंगे, और फिर second position पे 2-3 teams ऐसी हो सकती हैं जिनके same number of points हों, और फिर net run rate पे बात आ जाए. And Australia haven't done themselves any favors जो वो इतने बुरे तरीके से हार गए हैं England से. So if it does come down to net run rate, I think Australia might miss out over here. I'll quickly touch upon India versus New Zealand and Afghanistan versus Namibia. देखिए Afghanistan versus Namibia पे तो बात करने का कोई फायदा ही नहीं है, क्योंकि Afghanistan are clearly the better team. These conditions will definitely suit their spinners, and Namibia, I don't think any of their players, barring David Wisa, would have faced Mujibur Rahman and Rashid Khan. So वो उन spinners को pick ही कर लें, बड़ी बात है, and I think Afghanistan will comfortably beat Namibia. India-New Zealand is a big game. Perhaps one of the biggest games we've had in this T20 World Cup after the India-Pakistan game, because this is virtually a quarter final. इन दोनों teams में जो भी यहाँ जीत गया वो अपने आप को बहुत ज़्यादा edge दे देगा to make it to the semi-finals, and unless Afghanistan pull off some major upsets, it is safe to say that one of these two teams will join Pakistan in the next round. So I think India पे काफी pressure है. You know, they haven't really been in this position a lot in the last many tournaments. And New Zealand is that bogey team जो हमेशा लड़ जाती है India को. In fact, India have never beaten New Zealand in World Cups since the 2003 World Cup. World Test Championship final, India lost to New Zealand. 50 over World Cup semi-final, India lost to New Zealand. In the previous T20 World Cup, which was in India at their home, India lost to New Zealand in a group game. So this is one of those fixtures which is really hard to call, because I would expect India to bounce back well, right? Because they are a champion outfit. उनके पास इतने ज्यादा सुपरस्टार्स हैं, and this is Virat Kohli's last tournament as captain and Ravi Shastri's last tournament as coach. So I really think India will bring their A game, but New Zealand are no light team either. उनको बिल्कुल भी हल्का नहीं लेना चाहिए. In fact, I'd say New Zealand पूरी जिंदगी, you know, they've been dark horses, a team which can surprise. वो सारे collectively अपनी effort कर they push above their weight in ICC tournaments. But now I think they're actual contenders. It would be foolish to consider them any less than that, and they have the quality in that side to beat India. Sodhi and Santner की जो spin की जोड़ी है, I think वो भी काफी fruitful साबित हो सकती है. And then Kane Williamson is arguably one of the best players of spin in world cricket. Add Martin Guptill, Trent Bolt, Tim Southee and Devon Conway to that list, and you have a really solid squad. So I think काफी evenly balanced हैं ये दोनों teams, and it's going to be an encounter to remember क्योंकि there's a lot at stake, and India with all of this fan base would not want to miss out on semi-final berth in this T20 World Cup. That's a wrap for volume 68, folks. Of course, as always, if you enjoyed this episode, like it, share it, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell icon in order to be notified about all of my latest videos. I will catch you after tomorrow's games. That's all for now. Kazi off the mic.
Have a look at that, Smiles up. Oh, it's nearly taken someone out of the stands. That was a flat six right under the stand there, the George Giffen stand, up into the members, and it went